Hey everybody. I feel like we need a little dance party. If this is the first time that you've been on one of my classes, my name is Robin Whitworth. I facilitate the Elevated Mother Experience and the Solid Ground Advanced Mindset programs. And this group is where I get to teach all the principals to all the moms, regardless if they're a client or not, to just start elevating the consciousness of moms, because I believe moms as if I'm from the Midwest. I'm totally not, born and raised in the West. And I feel like I coach so many people and have team members everywhere. I take on words and phrases, the different things people say. What can I say? But I'm super excited to do this class. And like I said, I feel like we need a dance party. You guys know if there is like royalty-free music? Look, all you have to do. Remember that this is, let's see if this is a dance party ready. Oh boy, we got ads. You're ready to do a dance party. Seriously though.
This is our 2022 roundup.
Oh my heck. I just want, okay, I clicked on a video about YouTube music, not actual music. This is not dance party worthy. Holy moly. This isn't dance party worthy either. Apparently, guys, I am not. So I'm just going to put on one of my favorite songs that I turn on when I'm trying to upbeat my energy. Ready? Never danced for any reason in my life. Who's in this with me? Are you in this or are you in this? Is our energy pumped? Guys, energy matters, like quite literally. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. I just did my workout, showered, and I came here. So let's open up so I can see your comments. If there's no comments about my dance party, we have problems. If you love the dance party, if you got on your feet and you were part of it, I want to know. Okay, so let's see if I can refresh my page here. Let's dive right in for the reason that you guys are all here. Really shifting my mindset. And I know a lot of you are here because I talk to so many people doing, little 10, 15-minute calls, kind of figuring out where people are. And there is a very real resistance to the idea of mindset work and how powerful it is in our minds. And when we do a dance party, when we work out, when we go on a walk, there is very real, this is real, guys, this is the reality. your body has a spinal column that has nerves that go out to every inch of your body to bring blood to your body so that your body can function. There is a pattern called your energy meridians. And when you walk and when you do squats and when you do all sorts of different stuff, it opens up and allows the energy to flow. And so moving your body every day is like really, really important. And if you're going to dive into this world of mindset, this brain of ours, you guys, is a organ, okay? Our brain is not something we can't control. It's not something that can just live over here as if it's a god, not needing anything. Our brain needs TLC. Our brain needs exercise. Our brain needs specific nutrition. Our brain needs medicine sometimes, just like your lungs, just like your muscles. Our brain needs to be trained. It's just like someone that never walks into a gym or never, gets weights at home and says, how come I can't lift this weight? Everybody else can. It's like they're turning a blind eye to the idea that you might have to lift up a weight. You may have to go ride a bike. You may have to go to a gym. You may have to do something specific. Okay, it's the same with this incredible, mind you, incredible organ called the brain. It needs training. And if you think you can go through life without any type of brain training, you will constantly find yourself in cycles that never end. These cycles that were created with your values that were instilled in you as a very young child, like 0 to 7. Those values started telling your brain what was important, how we do things, what was important, how we do things, so that you survived, right? Well, I'll tell you, your brain goes through 4 phases in life. It literally breaks down and creates different things. You can't even comprehend long-term results about something, long-term effects, until your 20s. So when we try to parent our kids, this really goes into what I'm saying here, because if this is your current belief system, your brain is stuck quite literally in an immature thought pattern. When you fear what other people think, when you're so worried about making other people sad by existing in the world, when you fear stepping into your power and actually speaking up and saying things, you are stuck in an immature brain pattern. And I'm not saying, oh, you're immature. No, it's just that your brain has to be trained. It's quite literally a very young, weak muscle, if you will, if this exercise analogy is working for you, okay? And so back in the day, 10 plus years ago, probably 11 years ago, was the first time, well, no, seeds were planted within me in the early 2000s of the power of the brain. But because the early 2000s was my early 20s, my brain was still trying to comprehend how anything like that was possible. And so I didn't take it in and practice it. And I'll tell you, it's rare. It is rare that you find someone in their young 20s that can comprehend and really build upon these ideas in an effective way, right? Our early 20s, we think we're invincible. We think we're invincible, like seriously. But once you enter your late 20s and into the 30s, for a lot of people, they're like, yeah, I just had this light bulb moment. And I'm like, let me guess, you're between like 28 and 35. And then they have their next light bulb moments in their 40s. Somewhere between like 40 and 45 usually. There's something that their brain is like, oh. And then again, usually late 50s, early 60s, your brain is willing. And it's so interesting to know these things, because if you can work on your mindset regularly, those moments of realization and peace and creativity and what you're willing to do in your life can be amazing, okay? I'm seeing some comments. I see Nikki here. I see Theory here. So glad you guys are putting stuff in the comments. Thank you. If you're on live, make sure that you're putting your comments in so I know that you're here. So this is where I was before I understood the power of mindset. I truly thought these ideas, because I first thought them in my early 20s, that mindset and like how you thought about stuff was how your reality could be. Like I watched things like The Secret or The Law of Attraction, and I read a few things about it, and I was like, this is so weird. How can people think like this? This goes against reality. Like this cannot be true. You can't think about money and have it just show up on your porch. What are these people talking about? They are so out there. Like this must be fake. This is woo-woo. That's the modern term, right? Has anyone heard that term woo-woo? Like this is so, and I thought that for a long time. Okay. Now I know that it was my brain functioning on an immature system. Now, I'm not saying that you can just visualize a gold brick and it's going to show up on your porch. But I am saying there is something like that I'm going to get, because this is where I was for many years. Okay. And tell me in the comments if this resonates, if you relate with this. I was feeling like a pawn almost in life, just like floating along, feeling like everyone else just has better cards than me. Like they didn't have a husband who struggled with an addiction. They didn't have kids that have chronic diseases. They don't have kids that have anxiety issues. So my life, they didn't have personal struggles personally with anxiety and obesity and DNA passed down that makes things really hard in the health department. Life's just easier for them. Okay, this is my real thoughts, guys. And if you were ever here, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, people just slept better than I did, so they had better energy. They didn't have a baby. Well, they don't have a baby because I have a baby. Then X, Y, and Z. They get paid more. Their husband has a better job. They have a better job. They have dual high income, so they don't have the financial burdens that we have. So that means X, Y, and Z. Well, they don't have past traumas that haunt their dreams. They don't have that. It's on me. They didn't have 7 major surgeries that altered their body shape and messed with their hormones all the time. So that means X, Y, and Z. Oh, well, they live in a better city that has sunshine all the time. So obviously they have a leg up. They're happier. They don't have to worry about buying kids clothes when the kids start to grow and they might have to buy $75 shoes every 2 months. They're 13-year-old. Anyone else there? It was seriously, you guys, for many years, I had good times and I had good thoughts, but this was a cycle that I would find myself in. Like constantly comparing, constantly looking outward. It was all about me not measuring the same. It was about them having something I didn't. It was a lack mentality. Okay. It was a state of greed because I thought, I'll never have enough. I will never have what I need. I will never have this thing. Lack and greed go hand in hand. And you could say, oh, I don't like that word greed. But think about it. When you think other people have all this stuff and like you're feeling like, quite honestly, in the 10 Commandments, covetous, like they have all this stuff. And Heavenly Father set those commandments. God set those commandments for our happiness. He's like, dude, it's not about coveting that's so evil. It's that coveting will make you really unhappy. It just does. It's when we're in that state, we're in a state of totally letting our ego, our natural man, our fleshy person tell us what's going on instead of using our universal, awesome intelligence that has existed for thousands of years and tapping into that soul that tells us what the truth is. when we're stuck in this mortal mentality, depending just on our brain, we can find ourselves very often in scarcity, in fear, just really struggling with these types of ideas, really afraid of change, afraid of investing in something, afraid of money, afraid of being out on the streets with our children, when that's just not who you are. You would never let that happen, you know? So this mindset of I'm this, therefore I can't, is the very essence, if you've heard this term, of a fixed mindset. Well, I can't do that program because blah. Instead of, wow, what an awesome program. I don't know if that's aligning with my goals right now. The end. It doesn't have to be because. It doesn't have to be a victim experience. If you have struggled with a fixed mindset, it is an immature mindset. Okay? And what's beautiful is you can mature it. You can shift how you think. It's just like going to the gym. When we talk about mindset work, we're going to the gym with your brain. And we're teaching it a new way to think, quite literally rewiring your synapses to think differently. And back then, I didn't know the difference between a fixed and a growth mindset. Like, if you want to learn a lot about this, there's a book called, well, I should have written it down. I'll put it in the comments after the class. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but there's a book specifically about growth mindset, I think by Carol Dweck or something. But there's a book called Grit by Angela Duckworth that really, I mean, it's a huge book, but she did so much research talking about why there's some people that can just do hard things and grow and expand, and why there's people that just don't, what the main differences are. And it's how they train their brain. Literally, that's all it is. And she studied like Navy SEALs, compared with mothers, compared with political leaders, compared with amazing philanthropists. I mean, just the similarities between their brain styles and how they think. It literally, it's amazing. Great book. So, I have some notes here because I want to, if you want to read a book, just we're here on the topic of books. If you want to read a book that's a little less heavy, the book The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy was the first book I read that really cracked open this seed within me. Because when I was watching things like The Law of Attraction and The Secret, and like, it was too out there. These people would talk about things that I, number one, to this day, still don't subscribe to those types of ideas mostly. But in The Compound Effect, Darren Hardy is an amazing leader, amazing orator, and amazing author. And he was able to break down for me very clearly the effect of how we think affects our choices. And our choices over time is what creates our life. And while that sounds like a foundational idea, to have it broken down in a book that had really good, like, just clean cut analogies, like really, and if you have read it before, go read it again if it's been a couple of years. In fact, get a new copy if you have notes in the margin, because you've probably had some experiences in life that are going to change the meaning of what this book means to you now. Or like one of my friends is so wise. She's like, I never write in the margins. I just write in a notebook because I don't want my brain to be stuck on, notes that I wrote before. And I'm like, wow, that's smart. So genius idea. I think Cherie Carlisle is the one that told me that. But anyway, it showed me that everything in my life was simply a reality that I had created by my consistent thoughts, consistent actions from those thoughts, and the consistent emotional state that I found myself in. And honestly, I really, really struggled initially with this. It felt like a slap in the face, quite honestly. Like, it felt like bricks put upon my shoulders, like, yeah, Everything's happening to you because of you was kind of the first, but that, right? That's where my mindset was. I was in such a, somebody just tell me that this isn't how hard life's supposed to be, right? I was in this fixed mindset. But my friend, she's definitely a mentor in my life. I saw her life different. She was different. The way that she would say things was different. The way that she functioned through struggle was different. The way she would post online was different. Like, I admired her. I openly was like, what do you have going on? Like, so I pushed forward. Even though I read this book she suggested to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, it quite literally cracked me open. It was painful. There was pain involved. Like, it was hard for me. And I was just like, it was starting to weave itself into my thoughts though. And I met with her regularly. We had discussions. She suggested several other books to me. She was so kind when I'm sure I said things that were probably really egotistical and just like, well, you can say that because of that. And anyway, but the more I watched this friend and built a trusting relationship with her, she shared more and more. And she suggested some podcasts for me. And she was just, you guys, is this not like Jesus Christ? He never forces his ideas onto people. He would just say, come hang out with me. Listen to what I have to say. Take this suggestion. Come and see. He would just invite people in. Invite people to his party of peace and wholesomeness and loving people. Like, I was like, I thought about that. Like, she was quite literally a savior figure in my life, just inviting me. She was never rude. She was just so kind she invited me to some events that she thought I would enjoy. She's like, hey, Robin, this is going on. Like, I really think you would take something from that. And I was eating it up. I was in a space where I was so ready to have a different life. So, as I leaned in, and I know I'm telling stories here, and I'm going to give you guys some tactical stuff towards the end. Just hang with me, but I would love your comments. The thoughts that are coming to you right now, put them in the comments, because if I see something that I can expand on, or if you would like to expand on an idea that I've shared, I welcome that. Please put it in the comments. All of this stuff still weighed on me though. I was willing to change. I was hungry for it. And after a few months of really just letting this kind of seep in, these ideas of just like, I've created all of my own problems. Not that like my child's disease was my fault, but I was realizing that it was how I was processing my child's disease. The meaning I was giving it to my life is where I was going wrong. And the reason that this hit me so hard, feeling like a burden, to finally understand that my reality was up to me, which to a lot of people is really empowering. And to me now it's empowering. But you see, I prided myself on my work ethic. I've been praised my whole life for being responsible, for being diligent, for being uber dependable. I was a hard worker. I did everything that I was told. I exceeded expectations. Every leader, every boss, every teacher, every professor was like, wow. Every coach I've ever been with, I saw quick results. I put in the work. And I had this realization. I wasn't being a good leader. I wasn't being a good boss. I wasn't being a good steward of me. And that was a big, really big moment for me. I was the issue. It wasn't a them issue. And I have since learned it never is a them issue. And if that's hard for you to hear right now, I have full empathy and compassion. But if you're seeing my energy and the way that I live and these principles that I teach, and you've heard this, And you keep hearing it, and it's a cycle. You keep finding yourself in lack. You keep finding yourself in this place of lacking confidence in motherhood or in your relationships or whatever, struggling with boundaries with important people in your life, or feeling like things just never change. You always never have enough money. You always struggle with this thing. You always have anxiety in social situations. You always, you know what I mean? If this cycle is going, take a note from my book that says it's never a them issue. And if you've already known that and it's in your heart that you're like, I know it's me. Gosh, get a coach, like get some help. You know what I mean? Like there's so many resources out there. You don't have to just live there in that space. But that was my rock bottom moment when I was like, oh my gosh, I am not. So these are some of the first points. If you're taking notes, put them down. Are you leading yourself well? If you're asking your kids to make their beds, are you making your bed? Like, if you're asking your kids to, or your husband or these different people to do these different things, are you doing those things? Are you being honest with your budget? If you want your husband to be honest with the budget, are you being diligent with your time when you're asking other people to be diligent with their time? And it doesn't mean we have to be perfect. It just means that it's got to start here. And once you realize you're not perfect and you're not going to do all those things perfect, you start to let go a lot of your anxieties and struggles with them out there, because you now realize that they are having their own struggle, like so much that you're like, wow. So I realized that once I realized it was me, right? I was like, I have looked to others for most of my life to set the bar for me. I let my professors tell me what was amazing. I let my mom tell me what was to be expected in life. I let everyone else tell me what my goals should be. I let everyone else tell me what was important in life. I looked to others, and this is the biggest kicker. I looked to others to decide what I was worth. And I believed them. If this was celebrated out there, I had to be that, or I wasn't worth being seen, heard, valued. If you're resonating with that, give me some stuff in the comments. Have you ever put that together? That when you feel small, when you feel like you can't make headway in your goals and in your life, and with fear and different stuff because others just don't understand, or it's just not in your cards. Thank you, Heather, Carissa. Your vulnerability is power. But this was true for me. This was a rock bottom moment. I finally came to this realization that I had been letting other people decide my worth. And I believed them. I looked to others to decide what was possible for me, and I would only reach so high. And this is the reality. There's lots of reality in this particular class. I didn't have a mind of my own. My whole life was built. My thought processes were built on other people, other people's, what they praised, what they thought was great, I had never developed a mind of my own. I let the church decide. I let my leaders decide. I let my mom, so a lot of these books and podcasts and this mentor was helping me realize this. And they were helping me to then create a pathway to start thinking for myself, to start being me. But that starts with an awakening. Like once I realized this, I felt something in my gut. Like I felt something deep in my gut kind of, and I will tell you that I felt it before. I can think of pivotal moments in my life when I had felt this internal flame, this internal awakening happen, but I would quickly distinguish it. Quickly, because it felt scary. It felt so scary. But when I was having this awakening that my thoughts, my emotions, my choices could make whatever I wanted, felt totally unreal. But when I started studying the gospel of Jesus Christ quite closely, Jesus Christ died on the cross for me to have that exact experience so that I could make my life whatever I wanted. Guys, this is such a big thing. Like when I talk about my mission to elevate the consciousness of mothers, to realize the power and say that you have in your life, and that you truly can create whatever you want, it shifts how they see their children, how they see their spouse, how they interact, what those things mean to them. That's what happened to me. And as I finally let this flame keep burning, finally. And I was like, okay. I remember having times, and I visualized it in my kitchen because that's where my computer was at the time. We didn't have money I didn't prioritize money to go towards a lot of books and mentoring and stuff at that time. So I was doing a lot of free resources on the computer, and I would get up early and stay up late and all these things, but I would sit in my kitchen at my computer because that's where it was at the time. And I would be like, my heart rate would go up. I would think of these ideas and what it meant for me. I finally allowed my brain to just explode a little bit. I want to go read this comment on Facebook from Carissa. I've been struggling with that hard for days. I have to be a certain way as a mom, look a certain way, or do certain things as a wife to accomplish goals by a certain time, or I'm nothing kind of a mindset. Woman, I am taking notes. This is literally exactly what I need right now. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that vulnerability. You guys, vulnerability is power. Like so hard. Yes. Keep going, girl. Keep going. And Siri said, often we give parts of ourselves away in search of finding our value. If we take back those parts as we change our mindset, we create our own value and see how clearly. Oh my gosh, and see more clearly how God values us, right? Siri, wisdom there. So beautiful. Thank you for adding your comments, guys. This is so good. So this time I let it grow. This time I let me think my own thought. I let me dream my own dream. And it felt like I was stretching my brain. Can I really dream something? Can I really dream something? And I'll tell you, inside the Elevated Mother Experience program that you're welcome to apply for, you can drop the word. Did I create a word of the day? I don't think I did. Drop the word growth in the comments if you'd like to apply for the Elevated Mother Experience. But in the Elevated Mother Experience, I've seen client after client, when we get to this point where they get to dream fully, and I guide you through a step-by-step experience, how to allow your brain to do that in a safe and growth mannered way. A lot of them, at least 50% of them, especially if they're fairly new to mindset shift, they're like, I can't even, like, this is so hard. It's expected, it's common. And I hold space for that. And yet there's a piece of empathy in my heart where I'm like, man, I remember, but it's so hard to dream for myself. But I knew I came here for a reason. I didn't come here to be a cookie cutter. I didn't come here to live someone else's life. I didn't come here to do what society said to do. I was quite sure I came here to be joyful and happy and make waves in some way. I believe in my belief system, we've existed for thousands of years and prepared for this experience. And I was pretty dang sure that I didn't come here to be just like everyone else or whatever. And it was just coming full circle for me. It was coming full circle for me. Like, I didn't know at that time, but these types of ideas, it was the beginning of a growth mindset. It was the beginning of saying, so what if I have obesity tendencies? So what if I have a child with chronic disease? So what if I have a husband that has addictive behaviors? So what? I am an individual first, and I have a life to live. So I got to learn to live alongside these things. I got to learn to live for me, because my worth, I finally figured out, was set from the beginning. Being born into this world, I'm worthy the day I'm born. There is nothing to prove. There is nothing we should or shouldn't be. It was so liberating. I was like, oh my goodness. So year after year, and it took years, you guys, it was not in a moment, but I will tell you, I'm witnessing in the Elevator Mother experience, as I wrote down this process that took me years to figure out, I am seeing clients make huge shifts in their mindset, their lives, their incomes, like all of this stuff inside of a year, inside 6 months, inside 8 weeks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's so cool. To them, they have great expectations, except for so something to happen in 8 weeks seems so long. For something to happen in 6 months seems so long. For something to manifest in a year seems so long. I understand that. I really do. Just know that my journey was like 10 years. And so for me to see that, I can testify to you that it can go quicker if you get help. That is such a strong thing for me, because for so long I was like, I could do this by myself. I could do this by myself. I could do this by myself. I grew up with being praised for that I could do it by myself. Self-reliance. All of these ideas are great in their respective context. But when you're trying to grow as a human and you're sitting in your house questioning your worth, it's not working for you. Like, go and talk to a mentor. Go and quicken this process for you if you're feeling that flame inside you that this is striking. And I will tell you that year after year, as I stayed in a growth mindset and was willing to experiment, willing to take some risks, my income grew. My happiness grew. My awareness of resources. Resources are all around us. If you haven't been taking, take this down. There is never a lack of resources. Only a lack of a person's resourcefulness. There's never a lack. There just isn't. God has given us everything that we need. It's whether or not we are going to find it and do the work to do that. So I started getting resources would just come to me. I'd be like, hey, I'm checking this out. What do you think about this? I'm working on this. Oh, girl, I've got an extra set of blah, blah, blah. Here you go. What? You know what I mean? Stuff would just start falling into place. And as I changed, I had to let go of having my husband be my validator. That I had a good idea, that my idea was safe, that my idea was worthy, right? This is the same pattern. If you're always going to your husband for validation of your thoughts, your ideas, your goals, your motives, it's this thought process that someone else determines whether my thoughts are worthy, whether this is okay. I challenge you today, and I know challenge is a hard word, so I guess maybe I can say I'm going to offer you the opportunity to start disrupting that pattern in your life. Yes, you can discuss things with your husband, but at the end of the day, make a decision on your own. I'm going to do this anyway. Thanks for your input type idea. Let me know your struggles on that, because that was huge for me. When I let go of the idea that, well, he earns all the money, so it's technically I have to talk to him about stuff with our money. Talk to your husband about that. Does he really think that he owns all the money. Because once I sat with my husband and talked to him about stuff, like he was like, I am happy to do this. I want to provide for my family. If this is something that is important for your growth, let me know. We'll work it out. I had to believe him. I had to believe me. I had to believe that my idea and what I needed was worthy of the family's resources. I started making decisions all on my own. And you know what I mean? Like I said, we would discuss things, but in the end, whether he approved or not, I started to just be myself, to be Robin for the first time in my life a little bit. Like, and it was hard and it was scary. And I was grateful that I had a mentor that would hold space for me like that. I had a safe space to go for support. And so my awareness of resources, amazing people would come and I could delegate things to them. They wanted to be part of my growth. They would ask me to do certain things that would then broaden my audience. Like all of a sudden my life was so full of support for me. It was no longer this person has this thing that I don't have. It was, I can do anything. I'm well supported. I had cultivated that. I cultivated by being a growth-minded person, by showing up, adding value, being me. All of a sudden I was supported. And it wasn't just my spouse. It wasn't my mom. Like I was supported by people all over the globe. I am so well supported. That belief was not something I ever had until the past 4 years. I was rich in friendships, like people I truly admired and loved and wanted to keep company with. That was something I struggled with, like real girlfriends, people that I could just tell stuff to and they'd be like, girl, we got you. Go to lunch, go on trips. Like I started to have real friendships for the first time. I had some really great friendships in high school, but like it was everything was changing. People that would build me up, people who also loved growth. They appreciated effort. My marriage got better, you guys. I didn't realize it wasn't amazing. And I think in context it was, right? Like for what we had, it was fine. But my marriage, when I stepped into being me as an individual, my husband was like, yes, you are the woman I married. That woman of ambition, that woman that had high expectations. Like, where did you go? He was loving it. He was cheering me on. Sure, there's some stuff he's a little bit worried about when I had this credit card and I had a little bit of debt. And but he was supportive because he's like, I know Robin. She's awesome. She's not going to make decisions that are going to put us on the street. He was allowed to have those types of experiences with supporting me because I stepped into it. Guys, it was awesome. As I improved myself and took 100% responsibility for Robin's life by myself, for myself, backing myself, like my marriage took on a whole new identity. It became a partnership for two amazing lives that were then building a legacy for something bigger than ourselves. Like it became so different. It wasn't just a cohabitation for support to raise these children. It was like a thing. It took on a power and a magic that we hadn't experienced before. And I was like, wow. It goes back to that oxen analogy that I gave a while ago. When one oxen pulls with the yoke on their back and they're yoked together, but when one oxen pulls by itself, it can pull 5,000 pounds. When you put two oxen together pulling, they can do 15,000 pounds. How? Right? You would think it'd be 10, but it's not. That is an eternal principle. When two human beings pull, when I became more whole and I started stepping into my power, I was pulling so well. And my husband was pulling so well. We were making waves in our debt, in our thoughts, in our church stuff. Like everything started to get amazing. And I started to understand how my choices and my thoughts could manifest money and resources and friends, all these things. It takes a while to shift, but it's the energy that I was living in. That all about me energy is a low vibration. When I was boosting up my vibration in life by living who I was, using my agency and stepping into my worth as an awesome human, that vibration is a whole new pool of friends and resources. Like I'm telling you guys, this is like, so is it all in my head? You bet. What? If you're wondering how to shift your life, it starts here. Like 100%. Everything is created twice. First, you have to create it so solidly in your mind as a blueprint. Then it goes into reality. When you believe it, you work on it, you create it into reality. That's this whole power of attraction, whatever, with your mind. Just know that everything's created twice. Someone thought of a pacifier in their brain before they created it. Someone thought of the pistons and how an engine works before it was created. Somebody thought about a Mac computer and how it was going to change the world before it was created. Okay. So I no longer think that mindset work and all of this type of stuff is woo-woo. I believe now it's the key to everything. Elevating and cultivating and exercising your consciousness is everything. It's everything. So I want to leave you with an experiment to take action on something, okay? To try this out for yourself this week, or however long it's going to take. But I want to leave you with this experiment to take action on and move toward your own belief in the power of mindset in your life. So many women ask me, like, what's the secret to understanding money? What's the secret to understanding, like, how are you so spiritually confident? How are you so confident in motherhood and going after your dreams and not worrying about risk and all these things? Here's the experiment. Shift, be willing, okay? Like that might have to be your top thing. Be willing to experiment. You have to be willing to do this. Your reality is up to you. You're going to use your agency as yourself, okay? So really write down, like, I am an individual first. Why? Question. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Like, use your agency and learn to question. If this is new to you, or if you've been in a spot where you feel stuck, start asking yourself, why did I make that dinner? Am I trying to show appreciation for something? Can I just get takeout? Why am I feeling stressed about this conversation with my mother-in-law? Why? Like, really ask yourself, why am I choosing to sit on the couch and be bored and scroll my phone? Why am I sitting here worried about our finances? What am I really, really worried about? And get a piece of paper, and inside the Elevated Mother Experience, you have this in your workbook, but you're going to write down, like, I am trying to change this, or I'm trying to have this experience. And you say, why is this important to you? What are the beautiful, amazing things if I can shift my mindset on this and how I think? What's worst case scenarios? Like, what's really, because I'll tell you, as you try to change yourself, if we don't get stuff out on paper, getting stuff on paper releases the emotional, chaotic hurricane from the decision and from the things you're trying to think about. So getting stuff on paper is so important. So experiment this week on one area you're struggling with. Determine why you do that thing. Why do you do this? Why? Where did it start? Where did the belief that you even had to do that come from? What meaning do you place on this activity, this form of thought, this whatever it is? And then think what you would like to think about it. Can I let this go? Can I feel differently about this? I wish that I felt this way. Like, what choices are you making daily that affirm that you are moving where you want to go? But that comes with, why do I think about this? Do I need to do this? Can I do something different? Letting yourself make the decision. Really trust yourself. Lean into yourself this week. And if you're finding that you're doing things because someone else told you to do them, someone else told you it was valuable, start circling, start being aware, like, oh, how many things am I doing that are not even coming from myself? Man, there's a quote that just came to my mind that's so good. It says something along the fact of the more we seek validation outside ourselves, the more lost we become with ourselves. And that feeling is what keeps us stuck. That belief system that we can't speak up, that we are not to be seen and heard. It has to be validated from somewhere else. And I'll tell you, even creating this program, the Elevated Mother Experience, and producing this workbook, believing that anything I had to say mattered, I was like, oh my gosh, nothing like this exists in the world. I quite literally created something into existence. It's like my first time doing that. And I have no doubt I'm going to create all sorts of other things into this world that don't exist. For far too long, I thought it had to be something that was like something, because that's what people value. And it took a really great coach, a couple of coaches, and a mindset coach and different stuff to be like, Robin, create it into existence if it doesn't exist. I was like, can I do that? But that's when everything took off in my business, because it was something that was needed that wasn't out there. Like, so pick one or two things you commit to changing and ask yourself those questions a few times and start figuring out why you do what you do, and start leaning in. If you have an idea, do it. And I would love too, if you'd come back and report in this group how it went. What did you discover that you were doing totally because you thought you should? And I'll tell you, Carissa's comment, like, I remember when I first started teaching online, I would get stressed out to get ready. I thought I had to show up in a certain type of outfit with eyelashes and eyebrows, and like, look at me, like, I'm in a sweater, I just did a dance party, like, I have no, you know what I mean? I'm wearing my bun from my workout. Like, I realized that's crap for me. That's not something I subscribe to. I want someone that's authentic. I want someone that is just here for let's just hang out. Like, let's just talk. This doesn't have to be a production. And that has been something that a lot of people in my circles have commented on. They're like, wow, you just show up so authentic. And I look at theirs and they're like, I'm so scared to go live, and I never can when I want to because I'm not ready. And I'm like, dude, just show up. Just show up. Like, but I know that took me some work. And so if you've been shocked, if you ever watch a video of me and I have shower hair or whatever, just know you can show up in this space however you show up. You can sit at my table anytime. Okay? Like, this is just how it is. And in the Elevated Mother Experience, it's the same. All the moms in there, we just show up. Sometimes we might have makeup on, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're in our jammies, sometimes we're not. Sometimes we're in our car watching on Zoom. Like, this is real life. This is change in real time. It's so exciting. So if you would like to apply for the Elevated Mother Experience, drop growth in the chat and I will chat with you and we will see how this program could work for you and lay it out. You don't have to commit to anything, but just see what it's like. See the strategy in place for what you're struggling with. You'll never know unless we chat, right? But I will tell you that if this call has struck a chord with you, there is stuff in the Elevated Mother Experience that is going to propel you forward. I know that with a surety. So, guys, have a good weekend. I am so proud of you guys for showing up live. And those that are watching the replay, please add your comments. We would love to hear them. Anything that you would need to expand on too, put them in there. Hey, Robin, what about this? Hey, Robin, what about that? Because I know sometimes I'll watch a class and then in hindsight, I'm like, well, what about this? Ask me. All questions are valid. I am a safe space. Take nothing personal. Okay? Have an awesome day, you guys.